Being a DC fan is the equivalent of walking in on your Reddit old housewife being piped down by a giant man Hansu lookalike, giving her a 15-inch footlong, screaming Wakanda forever, bro. I cannot take this shit anymore. So without further ado, let's break this bitch down and let's see what we yeah.
It's ridiculous. It's obvious what's being done out here. It's on a nightly basis. I hope the world can see now what's really going on out here, because it's getting ridiculous. It's really ridiculous. Yes, man. This is ridiculous, man. Ridiculous.
So I covered this briefly last night. Warner Brothers Discovery was actively meeting with writers for a Man of Steel sequel, with Andy Muschietti expressing interest in directing a version with a tone similar to the Richard Donner films. It is currently unknown what will happen since Man of Steel 2 is up in the air, and apparently Henry Cavill is up in the air because he hasn't been signed on, apparently, quote-unquote, to do a Superman sequel. So I don't know what the hell's going to happen with Henry Cavill Superman. I guess since, they're going to do a full reboot, I'm gonna assume he's out, and they're gonna go with a younger actor to play Superman, which is a fucking mistake because I love Henry Cavill Superman, and it just makes this whole ordeal with Warner Brothers even more of a shitty situation, bro. It's like, what? Also, this comes from One Take News. Henry Cavill shot a cameo for The Flash, which we all assumed, but the studio is debating whether to include the scene in the final cut, which is something that I don't want to hear, because if they're debating whether or not to put Henry Cavill in the movie, that's not a great sign for Henry Cavill to come back as Superman in the near future for the DCU films going forward, and most likely the claims that the Hollywood Reporter made are true, and they are going to go with a full reboot, especially with James Gunn being oddly quiet on Twitter these days. Like, there's no rebuttal, there's no, hey, that's not true, that's totally BS, which his silence is making me think, okay, this is true, the plan's leaked.
Why would they do that?
And the plan was to reboot everything. And listen, I love Henry Cavill Superman. I want him to come back as Superman. He's my Superman. It's a damn shame that Warner Brothers completely wasted Henry Cavill Superman. It's a damn shame they completely wasted Gal Gadot. Well, not really Gal Gadot, but they gave her a shitty sequel. But they completely wasted Ben Affleck's Batman, who, in my opinion, will be the greatest Batman of all time. And it's heartbreaking. It sucks. Since day one, ever since Man of Steel, the whole management and the films became so divisive, and the critical reception was just unfair, and the reception from the general audience was also just blistering. Like, we don't want this. This is not my Superman. This is way too dark. This is way too controversial. So, as much as I love Zack Snyder, I feel like it was doomed from the start. Like, you know what I mean? As much as I love Man of Steel, I think it's a masterpiece, but me, myself, and I am not the majority of the general audiences. Unfortunately, the general audiences did not feel the same way that I did. They were split on Man of Steel. They hated Batman vs Superman, and then we got 2017 Justice League, which just further sank the DC ship. So, as much as I don't want a reboot, from a business perspective, I understand why they would do it, because it's all over the place, man. Like, it really is a mess. It's a mess from day one. And I understand that Zack Snyder wanted to do a proper Man of Steel sequel. He wanted to flesh out these characters in a proper way. But again, Warner Brothers like, no, Man of Steel didn't do too well, so let's shove in Batman, let's shove in all these Justice League characters and cameos for the Batman vs Superman sequel, and it just floundered, bro. It really did flounder, and it really just destroyed what could have been a solid or a competitive cinematic universe against Marvel. But again, just Warner Brothers Studios at the time, the executives, they didn't understand, and they panicked. They panicked. That's what it comes down to. They panicked over the reaction of Man of Steel, Batman vs Superman, and of course Justice League, which gave me AIDS. So I understand why James Gunn and Peter Safran was like, you know what? Let's just clean slate. Let's just start over. Let's do our plans, which we were brought in to do, and let's get a younger Batman, a younger Superman, a younger Wonder Woman, Flash, Cyborg, etc. So it sucks. It's unfortunate, but it is what it is. So Always, love you guys. Stay safe. Mwah. Truth out.
Shut the f up.